Hey guys, this episode is being brought to you by Food and Beverage Atlantic.
They're all about helping food and beverage companies in Atlantic Canada grow.
Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I am Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Benucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
Yeah, Kenny's West Coast. So this is like a true Canadian podcast. We got all the way East Coast, we got all the way West Coast, and we got somebody in the middle. So sort of I'm in Ontario. So
cool.
Yeah. It's not the middle, sort of the center of everything, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. It's choppy, but it's okay.
A little choppy, but you're okay. You're okay.
Okay. I know there can be a few spots here in my executive suite, but especially on the Google Meet. I love Google Meet, but I think this should be better once it settles.
Yeah. Well, we'll give it a go, and we'll see what we get out of it. But we're very glad to meet you. And then sorry, every now and then you'll hear my dog in the background.
Oh, that's good.
That dog, man, times it for the podcast all the time. It's a stupid squirrel, postman, or someone walking the street.
Random.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. No, we're glad to meet you and welcome to the podcast. We're excited to kind of find out more about you guys and what your story is.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what we do here, we're gonna this is about as formal as it gets. We're gonna take kind of 45 minutes to get to know you and your story, the Oat Company, find out what's going on with you. Chance hopefully for our listeners to be able to figure out why they should be buying stuff from the Oat Company and what amazing things you're doing. Anyway, don't worry about the buying part; they all come eventually. But but kind of we're interested in your story and
super excited. So, we don't get a lot of people from that, right? We don't get a lot of maritime in general.
Yeah,
we have
working on it.
Quite a few, but we're finally working on it harder.
Yeah,
and it's good. I mean, I think it's good for this country to see that there's a lot of space, but there's a lot of shit going on all over the place. So.
Yeah, and there's often like a little bit of intrigue almost that can sometimes help a conversation at a food show or a buyer or a customer. You're like, what? Oats? Newfoundland? What's going on? And all you need is a hook, right? Just something to get attention for a second, and you're good.
Well, usually you guys can just start with Newfoundland. That's usually enough to get it going.
Yeah, it is, because very few people have even been here. I shouldn't say very few. That's not fair. But most people that I run into and talk about business, like
I've been to a lot of this country. I've never been to the Rock.
Yeah. I've probably been to every part of this country except for Newfoundland. It's on my list to do, but I've never done it. So I think anytime you say you're from Newfoundland, I think the rest of Canada goes, what's going on over there?
Well, you know what? Is that extra complication to get there, right? For me to get to Newfoundland, me to get to the Maritimes in general is not one flight. Newfoundland's probably 3 by the time it's done.
Yeah. Big time.
It's complicated.
It's a lot. It's like getting off the island, driving in here, moving around inside the island. It's a lot bigger than people realize. So, we're always happy to, give people at least the virtual tour, the verbal tour when we're pitching our bars too. It kind of works. We're getting better.
I'm looking forward to it. So pitch away, baby.
If Kenny and I have our way, hopefully in the next year or so,
I was going to say it, but I don't know if I should say it.
We're going to try and make our way there so that we can maybe do a real tour.
Nice.
So we're working on it. So we'll see what comes of that. But we'll call you back when that happens.
100%.
Yeah, I love it. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So for listeners, we got Patrick Griffin on. He's the founder of the Oat Company, we're really excited. We got introduced to Patrick through Dwayne at Atlantic Food and Beverage Atlantic, but we're super stoked. We're getting a shot at, we're getting a view of someone in Newfoundland, a wicked Canadian business, and another amazing Canadian story. So I'm going to shut up now. The floor is yours, sir, and you take us wherever you decide you want to take us. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a little bit about the Oat Company. Love doing that. We're 5 years old now, brand new business, and our whole thing is natural. So we try to live natural, try to be authentically natural. And for us, what that means, because that's a word you hear across so many categories now in a grocery store, not just that one, green aisle, naturals everywhere. For us, that's like real ingredients, like real food, and no added sugar. So that kind of 1-2 punch has been something that customers, well, they understood fairly quickly. We're not a superfood brand or anything like that. We're just very simple, very our message is very simple. And we live that with our ingredients. We put our ingredients right in the front of our products. We have little windows you can see the bar. So we try to be very clear and simple in our brand, and then hook you. And we think our stuff tastes pretty good too. So 5 years in, we're growing slowly but surely. Yeah.
So Patrick, let me just out of straight curiosity, not for anything, because I don't know the Rock well. I've never been. I don't visualize fields of oats and things like that growing on the Rock. I could be wrong. I don't know the climate that well, but I know well enough to think that there's icebergs floating by every once in a while. It's a little cold most of the year. How the hell did you get into oats?
I know. Yeah, it hasn't been a good harvest. The grain harvest has been a little tough the last few years. We got into oats. This whole business, the whole idea, we'll go back to the origins. We, just as a family, we were just making snacks at home. So we didn't have any, specific food allergens or other, health issues that sometimes motivate you to do something specific. We just largely were motivated by all of the sugars and sweeteners, quote unquote, healthy sweeteners. They're in absolutely everything. Right. And there's usually a lot of them. So we just started making snacks at home that didn't have any. And oats, the first thing we made and the first thing we sold, and we still sell, are just little simple oatmeal blends. Just some oats, some flax, some nuts and seeds, just very, very simple. And we'd make them on a Sunday, and we'd be good for the week, and away we go. And oats are just so versatile. In a bowl of oatmeal, overnight oats, granola, making a bar, a bite, a cookie, and eventually they were in everything. And somehow the Oat Company stuck. We tried all kinds of other silly names and just tried them on, but the ingredient worked, and then the name worked, and it's been holding up.
So this was just you guys this was just food. It wasn't really, there was no like master business plan. It was like, we just like good snacks. Probably can't buy really great quality at stores. I mean, but to your point, I think the problem people have is healthy is a funny word in that, it has oats, thereby it's healthy. Well, that's true until you look at all the other shit that might be in the bars, which completely negated the oats. Oh,
big time. And that's usually, I always say, like, a lot of food is maybe a lot of quote unquote healthy food is healthier, arguably, than some of the other things. Although the nutrition label sometimes is pretty spot on with like a junk food bar. But so we started with oats, and we were making food at home. We call them oatmeal Sundays, where we would just make our snacks for the week, and that became a habit. And then it became something that, we shared with family and friends. We brought a little recipe to a neighbor. My wife or I brought some to work, and it became a thing. And it was my daughter who, she's 17 now. So this would have been, she was probably 9 or 10. She said, why don't we go to a farmer's market sometime? We go to those things. They did the lemonade stands. They weren't the youth entrepreneurs, but it was just like, hey, why don't we do that? And I said, sure, without really thinking about it. But that idea just kept knocking around to say, hey, we're making something that we like, that other people like, that just in our small little orbit was a thing. People knew Griffin's made this stuff. And then April 2019, we, after dragging my feet, we launched at a little market here in St. John's. It was a little Easter market, and we made $67 total.
Crushed it.
And most of that was family and friends. But you know, we were off to the races. And once you say like go, I'm now in the small business world. A lot, you just really get pulled along to a huge degree. And one market became two, became bigger markets, became first store, second store, and growth. Good.
Wow. I like it's how the kids get the parents motivated to actually sell stuff, right?
Well, you know, I honestly don't know, would we have ever had done anything with it back then if there wasn't just that idea at that point in time, which made me think a little bit differently about, you know, the recipes and the suppliers and the packaging, and you get into the whole regulatory world. It kind of pushed you along just with that deadline of, hey, there's a market. We said we're going to go in April 2019. You got to have yourself ready. Were we ready? No, but we were ready enough to be out there.
So let me ask you something. So like when you say that, like be ready. So in 2019, are we talking about having, like you were like really packaged UPC ingredient deck, nutritional panel, or were you just basic old school farmer's market, you know, well made at home, but just, you know,
it was probably somewhere in between. It was packaged. We had this little crimp heat sealer on these stock packages that we bought, and we made up labels without knowing anything about the regulatory world, just best practices. The name was there. Mm-hmm. We had ingredients on there. But one thing we did then, which was important to me and stuck with us, and we had positive reaction from the first market to like the CHFA show a few months ago, is we put our ingredients on the front. So not like in the back in really small print under the fold. So the brand hopes you don't see it. We put them right on the front, like as big as the flavor label. And when you're a brand like us that only has 4 or 5, one of our bars has 6 ingredients, it really reinforced something and it had an impact that we didn't really see coming. And then through that pretty rough start, but best effort start, that is still, like, our packaging right now is still holds true to that, because we keep hearing that customers are like, oh, hey, there's really only 4 or 5 ingredients, and holy cow, they're listed on the front. So you kind of stumble into something that worked from day one, and you keep that and you drop anything that didn't work.
I kind of like it. I think your package is really simple. I'm just farting around with the webpage now. And I think it's very clean, right? It tells you exactly what it is. I mean, what else do you want?
Yeah, and there's one, do I have a bar here? I know your listeners can't see it. They can go on oatcompany.com. But if you, like can I get you in here? See the little window right in the front of the package? And then we've also got, you can see the bar on the sides.
Yeah.
So we were at the CL show in Montreal, and it just so happened that our labels, our new packaging, which we were so excited to roll out at CL, it wasn't ready. So we had our old packaging, which we didn't like, and we had the new stuff. So we could tell buyers, hey, don't worry about what it looks like right now. Here's what it'll look like in the future. And everybody was like, I do not like your new label, which luckily we didn't buy. The main thing that we did then, although we didn't pursue it, we dropped the windows. There was a professional designer. They created a bar film stock for a flow wrapper, and it looked like every other bar. And we were like, wow, how cool would it be to look like every other bar? But there was no product windows. And at CL, so for 3 days, we heard from people that, hey, like, Oat Company, you guys with your clean label and your clean brand name and your ingredients on the front, like, dude, like, I want to see what's in it. So that if that's what you were doing before, you should stick with it. So just by a little bit of luck, we didn't spend thousands of dollars on a bad package. We kept those windows, and it's still ingredients on the front and windows. We still get a nice reaction from people when, at grocery aisles or food shows, they're seeing hundreds of these things. And if you can have a little impression, keep their attention for a few extra seconds, well, then you're still in the game.
You can't lose, right? I really like this screaming out of the ingredient more than anything. Like I mean, Branding's great. Yay team. I know we need to, but I really, when I buy stuff in the stores, I want to know what I'm buying. I care about the brand, but it's typically secondary for me. I want to know what this is, and then I'll look at the brand, and I'll come back to the brand. I'm good with it, but I really like the way you guys
that's cool.
approached it, because I think it's smart. I mean, the wild blueberry. I mean, like literally, there's nothing in it.
Yeah. There's
Seriously,
nothing in it.
what is it?
So there's not nothing.
No, but dates,
Nothing.
cashews, wild blueberries, and vanilla. Like super,
I'm just
simple.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
super 5 ingredients.
Yeah, that's it. And people,
Super clean.
in the convos and the survey feedback, all those things, it continues to be validated. And then when you get a buyer, and there's a lot that say, well, what protein powder do you use? Because a lot of people, even highly informed people, view all bars as like protein bars. So when someone comes looking for something that, well, where is this other stuff? It's to your comment now, it's always a nice comeback to say, well, we don't have any of that stuff. We actually have literally nothing. It's just food that you kind of know, and none of the extra stuff. So it works.
5 ingredients in a bar, guys, is pretty much nothing in the bar. I mean, that's pretty clean. I mean, you're not going to get much cleaner. And I really like the dates as the sugar. I think that's a cool approach.
Yeah, it helps, and we tried everything back in the day, and we nothing was as versatile as that. And yes, there's a taste of dates, but you can balance it a lot better than say like a raisin or a cranberry or something, and it works. And a lot of people like dates. There's a lot of dates in stores, so it's an ingredient people are familiar with. Not asking a lot of
No, I mean it's an easy one, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway. No, I think it's good, man. I'm just looking at everything now. Now I'm distracted.
I like what I like about the window too is, to your point about protein bars, is sometimes you really, even if it's not a protein bar, like there's something it's almost like if I need the nutritional ingredients, I have to trade off something, and usually it's texture and form, right? Because they come out kind of that unattractive, squishy, mushy.
Well, they're extruded, right? It's just what they are.
Yeah. It's kind of like you shoved it in the bag, and then somebody literally went, and then sealed it, and that was it, right? Like you kind of when you open them, you kind of go, okay, I'm not going to look at what they look like. I just know that it'll taste okay, and I'm getting what I need. So when I look at your packaging, I think it does exactly the opposite, right? Which is, hey, you already know what's in it, and then now you know what it looks like, so you're not getting this kind of congealed thing.
This mystery something, and like because we manufacture them ourselves. So as we've made back at that farmer's market, we used our first one years ago, we would make like 7 at a time, so a batch would be like 7 bars. So we've kind of worked our way up and learned how to work with the ingredients a lot better, but that's allowed us, and we'll see how big we can get, doing it that way. That's the plan. But like a lot of bars are manufactured by other co-packers.
I was going to say, so you co-pack, you actually do this yourself?
Yeah, we do it all ourselves right here downtown St. John's. So we've got mixers, we extrude, we've got a flow wrapper.
Really?
So we're like bit by bit, it was 100% manual, and then we just knocked off the biggest pressure point one at a time.
So you never had a co-packer anywhere in the mess of this. It was hand done, and then you slowly all yourself.
Yeah, we just did it all ourselves, bit by bit. And actually, just this week too, we bought some new mixers, and we used to have a couple small, like they were tabletop mixers for shredding all the ingredients. Okay, and we had 2. So I was looking at a big machine, and it's like $30,000 or $40,000 to do this. And then I thought, I guess this is just small business ownership. You're like, what if I just buy a bunch of them? What if I just buy more of the little machine, which I've been using for 2 years, and I know
and so
it'll
get
work.
it.
We just use more of the same. So it's like, well, that costs $3,000 versus 30 plus shipped from wherever. A little wild, but it works. That each time we just try to make more in the space we have. We just committed to do it ourselves. We committed to stay in the small space we're in. because, either going with a co-packer or going to your big custom commercial kitchen, both of those can kill you. And we looked at both, and like on co-packers specifically, we didn't. There was I'm going to speak too generally probably now about co-packers because I don't know them terribly well, but the volumes were extremely high. And yeah. And even the beginning, even as you started talking about your recipe and your bar, I'll say the not pressure, but the suggestion to, hey, why don't we, what we could do instead of using dates, we could use like a syrup or a binder that you could cut. And then you're like, that's probably why so many bars are kind of the same, is because everyone, not everyone.
It's easy, right?
Yeah. So maybe someday, but right now we're doing it. And today I was at the Flow Wrapper in the morning, and now having a good chat with you guys in the afternoon, deliveries later this afternoon, and love it.
Oh, okay. Can we go a little bit even farther? Like, do you have a background in food, or like what did
you do?
Yeah, what did you do before you started just making stuff?
Yeah, it was not food. Like I was, I think I was appreciated better food and tried to eat well, but I think that's probably most people like in the population. No, my background is education's public policy. I worked 10, 15 years in the public sector. And then I worked in recreation. So I was always around the wellness industries and, the overlapping of food and activity and recreation, things like that, but never all in on in the business world. But I did, the one place I worked in government, it was a entity that supported innovators in research and development, small businesses. So you got introduced to people that were creating small businesses. And I thought that's pretty cool. And my big takeaway, which still really struck me then and it stayed with me, is that the people were like, they're normal. Like small business owners, entrepreneurs, they're like normal people. They're not superheroes. They're not smarter than you. They're not charismatic. They're not better than anything. So that was like, we could do this. So when my daughter suggested, why don't we go to a farmer's market? It's like, I've met some of these people and they're just normal people and I'm a normal guy. And I think we can do this. So I would say I had an openness to it and just enough exposure and background to be dangerous so that when the suggestion came to start a business, like, yeah, that could be cool. And even after 5 years, I still on a regular basis think, am I really doing this? Like, this is nuts. Like I'm of a food business in St. John's. This is my full time. This is my gig. This got to work, right? But it's exciting, but kind of still wild, and that'll probably never wear off.
I would politely suggest that I don't think that's normal at all, but I think it's amazing, right? We do what we do for all the same reasons, right? As we talk to entrepreneurs every day because we don't think any of you guys are normal. We think most of you are crazy, but in a crazy and wonderful way, right? Because you are, you worked in a totally different field and decided that I can figure out packaging, I can figure out ingredients, I can figure out retail profit margins, I can learn to talk to buyers, which don't talk like normal people at all. They don't look at the world anything like anybody else in the world. And, so all of those things are remarkably amazing about, I think, founders. It's what keeps us fascinated with.
I agree with Phil. Like, I think it's a quantum leap to go from public policy to entrepreneurship, specifically within the food world. Yeah. I'm sure you've
very clear. We love it. We love that you've done it.
We love every minute of it. But you got to admit, it's what should seem very simple and very easy. Like if you made the bars at home, wasn't complicated, wasn't rocket science, few ingredients, you go to a show, you sell. How hard is that? Then you hit the shit of the packaging and the label requirements and the government. Like all of a sudden you're thinking, holy shit, how did this get so complicated so fast?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then you're into it. Like you're just,
and then it's too late because now this vortex just keeps pulling you.
I know. It's you're absolutely right. And I think sometimes you're so far into it, there's just enough. And I can remember, well, if I compare things we were dealing with then to like stuff we're dealing with now, I can remember when we signed up for that very first market, where I sent an email, say, "Could you please put me in that market? Thank you very much. Here's my money." And then they send you back 10 questions, and you don't even understand them.
Yeah.
Right.
But then you're
English,
just
or
pulled
is this
along.
the French version? What what did you say?
And what license do I got to have, and who does that?
You got
And
a
who do
business
I,
license, you're thinking, who?
yeah. And you're like, okay, this is how it's going to go. And then fast forward to say now, and we're, pursuing some opportunities. We're deep in the funnel of some really exciting opportunities, and they're asking questions about insurance and food certification and Canada Food Inspection. You're like, I don't really understand the question. I think I got a good answer, but you deal with it in front of you, and we've been just good enough to keep this going for 5
Right.
years, and you realize like, well, how much you can achieve if you just keep doing the next thing. Don't sink yourself with going all in on too many things. And you can get a lot done, and you can learn a lot if you love it and you're open to it. And but
And this
it's
is
wild.
not to plug them, but like how much help has something like Atlantic Food and Bev been for you, or resources like that? I mean, we'll always give a plug to Dwayne and his crew. That's an easy peasy, because I really believe, but I'm more curious from your perspective, because you come in, you don't really know this industry, period. You don't know what you're up against until you actually get into it. And then it's holy shit, like there's a lot of stuff here. Like, so how did you have contacts already, or people you could leverage, or did you hop right into like Atlantic Food and Bev or something like that to help you?
Well, first off, they've been phenomenal, and we've had some provincial partners as well, provincial government partners, and supportive entities that have just been amazing. I can't remember specifically when we reached out to them, but I know it was early, and they had a program which I believe this is still the name or something thereabouts. It's called Grow Export or Export and Growth or something like that. But it was all 4 provinces. And it was Food and Beverage Atlantic and maybe ACOA, which is the Atlantic Economic Development. So there was this program where it was meant for people like me who had a nub of even just an idea. We had a little business at sales. And it was a 6-week program, a few hours a week, some online, some homework. So you start the work. And that culminated in this Seattle, one of the first Seattle shows, which Dwayne and his whole team, they invite businesses, to their credit, that were new as green as we were, and a lot of coaching, a lot of mentorship, a lot of help when you're there on the floor prepping for it, decompressing from it. And when you know nothing, it was huge. So they proved their worth early, and we continue to plug into their events. I agreed to serve on the board last year, as I feel like I've got a debt to them, just in a million little tips and pieces of advice. But yeah, they've been excellent, and I think them and all the governments that have. To some of your intro points earlier, it's Food and Bev is not huge on the East Coast. It should really be bigger for a whole host of reasons. There's lots of success stories, certainly, but I think there's a belief they want to get it bigger. And for someone like us in CPG, and within Food and Bev, there's not many CPGs. There's a lot of people want to help, so we'll take it when we can get it. But they're very good at what they do.
Logistics is always going to be the issue in the maritime. You're not. I mean, like we were talking at the beginning, it's not easy to get to Newfoundland. It's not necessarily easy to get even into Nova Scotia or New Brunswick. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not. Yeah. There's a complexity. So if it's hard to get people in there, just as as anything, think of moving goods. Yeah. There's costs that get rammed into this. So I mean. Yeah, it's a tough one, but I just love the fact that yeah, you're doing just some really cool shit, right? I mean, I think it's awesome.
Hey guys, as you heard at the beginning, this episode is being brought to you by Food and Beverage Atlantic, and we're excited to work with these guys. They are just wonderful people, and they're helping brands and retailers, in the provinces grow. In case you're wondering, Atlantic is New Brunswick, PEI, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and they are just they're kind of in with food processors and brands and retailers, just looking to help them innovate and learn new things and kind of stay ahead of the industry.
And I think I think our audience knows, Phil and I really love organizations like this.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in the Maritimes, if you're in one of those 4 provinces, I think these are the types of groups definitively you want to associate with. You want to get in with them because they have, an abundance of resources, whether you're looking for distribution, whether you're looking for brokers, co-packers, or whatever it is. Like, I don't know. I mean, it just seems to be a no-brainer to really become more engaged and just working with people like this. Great group of people, like super excited to give the Maritimes a well-deserved voice, because it's a little tough being in the Maritimes versus some parts of the country. Logistics is tough. Finding co-packers might be tough, but they're there. You just got to know where to look. These would be the guys that I would be definitely get more involved with to help me find what I need.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool too, because they do so many different things. All sorts of training things as well as networking. They've got, food safety training coming in July. They're going to have their annual awards in October. There's just so many things going on with these guys that I think is super interesting. So
it's just a wicked resource, Phil. It's just a wicked resource. It's there.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it. It's just a wicked resource.
Yeah. All right. So thanks for the break. And now back to the podcast.
Yeah, and the East Coast thing, I think it's an advantage for us here in Newfoundland, whether it's building the brand, telling the story, or a little bit of curiosity with a person, for all the conversations you have. But on the brass tacks, how it affects the business side of things, it does. We've got to be pretty disciplined, and we're trying to get better on our production and our planning and our storage and our boxing and our shipping. And we look at every little bottleneck to see how we can do this a lot better. I don't know if it'd be the same if we were in, say, Southern Ontario. So, for example, yesterday we sent a great order to a distribution partner we have, Jiva, in Burnaby, BC. So that's going to take 7 days to get there. And we're the only Newfoundland supplier on their lineup. And they're probably used to getting product in a day or two. So, we've got to make sure we've got enough product that at best it can leave that day. So 7 days doesn't become 11 days and we're no longer customers. So when you got a long lead time, we're at least working on being very good in some other parts of the business where we really can't be sloppy because we're stuck with a long lead time, and vice versa. Things coming in could be labels, could be boxes, could be whatever. It does take time. But you figure it's always see who can get it here the fastest, see which shipper is the best, and you look for the ones that are the cheapest and fastest. That's always good, right?
No, for sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for sure. So you're selling, so it sounds like, because you said Jiva, so Jiva's got the West Coast. So are you selling cross country already, or are you?
Yeah, we are. So we're with Purity Life is our distributor nationally. So we're in all their warehouses.
Wow.
We also work with some in Ontario. Jiva is a regional one. We work with Newport in Ontario. That's a regional one. Mm-hmm. There was a great partner in Dartmouth that handled the Maritimes for us, but they closed a few weeks ago. So we're trying to navigate that in the East
Purity
Coast.
should be able to help out with that, though. Purity covers the whole country.
Yeah. So they are actually, and that'll help us, increase volume to, I guess, where is it, Laval? And that'll That
Exactly.
again,
And that should
helps.
make it a lot easier for you guys.
Yeah,
In
that'd
theory.
be
In theory.
yeah.
You know, it's funny. Before you came on today, I was telling Phil, I said, I knew the brand in the back of my head, but I couldn't think why. But I thought I do a day a week at Jiva. So I'll be honest with you. So like I do contract work with them. I've done
Oh,
contract
okay,
work
cool.
with them for probably 6-7 years. And I thought we had looked at an oat type chocolate bar last month before. And I knew we were listening that I didn't realize it was yours.
Hey, are you disclosing all his secrets now? What's going on there, Kenny?
I love the fact, you know what it is? And I'll tell you why, because they're like Purity and like some of the other distributors in the natural space, clean is what they look for. So, and I think it's really, really cool that you've gone nationwide, like literally very quickly. 5 years is not that long, by the way, my friend. Really, plus 5 years when 3 of them you got stuck in that freaking COVID. I mean, it's really your 2-year operation with a shitty gap in the middle.
Oh, you're bang on. You know, those 5 years, the first year, most of the, I'll call it pre-COVID, like we were just having a good time, right?
And you're learning, and it's exciting, and
and then it was the COVID, and then it was post-COVID, and it's then there was a year of really pushing to be a wholesale business and a national business, build the brand, the relationships, get better at talking to people, and with Purity. That we were working hard, to find national partners, and there was some either consolidation / some distributors going out of business, and opportunities came along for us to be in all the warehouses. So it's quarter plus where we're getting better at that world of dealing with a distributor that is as big as they are, but has the reach that they do, and working that relationship. This is like the labels back at our first farmers market. We know very little about kind of how to do that, and then learning where that financially that's a different set of books too 100%. Than farmers markets and online versus wholesalers that pay on 30, 60, 90, whatever. So that's a big
60,
stress
90,
right now.
It's a whole different world. It's the returns, it's co-op, it's this. I mean, like there's so much shit going on, and the margins. They got a job to do too, so that comes out of your pocket in essence.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
It's a whole different world.
It's so different, and we're seeing the impact of. Well, I mean, it's success. We're up year over year in a healthy way. Revenue's great. We're struggling to make enough, and top line's great. And you're thinking, why is my bank account so small when the top line's so great? And of course, you're just waiting for that national growth with wholesalers to kind of for the bank account to catch up. But 12 months ago, I didn't really see this coming. But we're now in a place, our kitchen, where we do it all ourselves. We can double, like if everything goes well, we can double here, and then your the profit on every extra bar you sell is pretty good. So we're fighting to get to bring the on to the next space.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
wow, that's awesome.
So
what a cool
exciting.
Story.
That's very, very cool. Amazing. Okay, so and then what retailers are you carried in? Is there a list of
there's one that we used to be very diligent in updating on our website. Mm-hmm. There's probably about 250 there, but with Purity and so on, we just kind of can't really keep track of where it is. It's changing so rapidly. But like some of the big ones here, here in Newfoundland and the East Coast, we deal with Sobeys and Lawton's Drugs, Simply for Life stores. There's a great local brand here called Coleman's. They have 7 or 8 stores across the province, and they work like hand in hand with us. They were just so generous working with a rookie. And Goodness Me through Ontario, and we're online with Healthy Planet, soon brick and mortar. Well.ca is coming along. So we're working our way through. We have a national sales broker. We work with B&Q Management the last few months, and they've we tried to do it our own for a little while, or like a localized broker in Ontario who was fantastic, got us to the next level. But we, so far, that the national scope and just different voices in your ear has been good. So it's there's a growing list of places now that you're generating sales, generating feedback, learning how to pitch your brand, and that's early. So we're optimistic about the next 12 to 18 months as we had a plan with retailers. I mentioned Coleman's a minute ago. We used to roll into Coleman's on December 1st and say, "Hey, we've got a Christmas product. Will you take it?" And they're like, "Sure, we'll take
next
it."
year.
Yeah, well, now it's like, dude, Christmas was in the can, like 12 months ago. So we're learning those things, and they're really important in a food space. So,
But it's the stuff you learn. It's the stuff that you learn as you go, right? Most people don't realize, Christmas. Yeah, if you came to me December 1, I'd say, I can take it. You just realize I need shipment for next October.
Exactly.
What do you want me to do? By the time you get it to me, I can't get it in the stores.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that?
That lead time. Yeah. It's what a learning experience that was, how far in advance that was.
Yeah.
It was huge, right?
And then you learn about, the payables is ahead of the receivables. So money out before money comes in, and you're thinking, well, shit, the sales were good. And you're thinking, yeah, you're right. But the guy that was paying 60 days, your supplier wanted 15.
Exactly. And you're like, okay, let's juggle. So
for 45 days, who's helping me here? Mom, dad, bank, anybody?
I know. Yeah, it's true. And so far, we're on our own. We're I own the whole company. It's not I'll say solving that problem, what you're talking about. Hopefully for us, it's kind of short term. It's just a function of growth, and growth is good, revenue is good, as long as you're profitable sales. But long term, I don't know. Investors, larger loans. We've taken some financing for some smaller equipment, but the real help, I don't know. It's probably a next chapter for us just to learn about, talk to people, talk to some of the people, or listen to some of the people you've spoken to about different ways when you get to that point of really having enough horsepower to.
And it's really whatever you want to do, right? If you're happy doing what you're doing, you may never need an investor. If you want to scale, and whatever that means to you, if you want to go international, maybe that requires a whole different set of funds that you don't want to tap into. You don't want to put the house up. You don't want to risk the kids' education or whatever you're worried about. Yeah. And that's where people typically go. But I really think your story's cool. I think I'm always intrigued. I think that's why Phil even said at the beginning that, you had no business being in the food space. And yet you did it.
That's not what I said.
Well, not what you said. That's what I said.
It's
not a logical.
He clearly has business being in the space, right?
Everybody can be in the space. It's not easy, and it's not logical to go from public policy into food manufacturing / distribution. That is not a logical step. That's it's hard.
Hats off to you, right? Because
it's seriously, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's cool.
I love it. Yeah, I think the other part with the fundraising bit is, when you run a company the way you have, where you kind of own the whole thing, the next step sometimes involves things like investors and things like that. So there's definitely some brands that we have on the podcast. You can either go through the podcast or reach out to us, and we'll kind of hook you up with some of these folks. But the lack of privacy when it comes to investors is it takes a little bit of getting used to, right? Because they want to know a lot about you, the company you run, how you run it,
what's their money,
things. It's everything, right? And so right now you don't got to really answer to anybody for that stuff, right? So that usually takes a kind of a serious step change, right? Because you're kind of like, I decided I was going to buy those machines. Why are you bugging me? In my world, I just bought them. I'm done. I'll not sleep for a couple of days and then I'll be fine, right? But now I'm not sleeping because you keep asking me questions about the thing, right? So
and you're spot on. Like we haven't spoken to investors to know that ourselves, but I would say one of the top two or top three, like it's just amazing, the independence, and yeah, that comes with pressures, whether your days you're just not feeling it, or days you're not on, or you should be doing A, but you just really, your heart's only in B for that day. But that's a challenge too, which I do find exciting, like just kind of managing that accountability, because nobody comes checking on you. Like you're responsible to make sure those financials are in good shape for the activities you take, and that's stressful. But like the independence and autonomy is pretty awesome.
Pretty slick, right?
It really is, right?
Yeah.
That would be like the addictive part. So whatever happens with the Oat Company, I hope it's great, but to do something else, I go, like, that is stressful to think of. Oh man, be back on someone else's clock. Like, I don't know.
I'll have to go
I'll
backwards.
take 60, 70 hours a week. Yeah, any day.
Yeah,
Have to go backwards.
but that is a big deal, right? Because it'll definitely work into your consideration set of what comes next. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Thank you for spending the time with us. If people want to find you, what's the best way? So they can go to, let me make sure I get this right. They can go to oatcompany.com, oatcompany.com. And then is the best way to find you like on LinkedIn or?
I honestly, the best and fastest is we certainly are very responsive to the website, but on social. So we're on Instagram and Facebook at The Oat Company. So I think, building cool channels there and responsive, and we see all the messages that come in. People have questions and things. There's always people looking for, hey, where can I buy this product in store XYZ? And over the last 6 weeks, that's changing positively. So quickly, we're trying to route things along, and they can order online too. But connect with us on some of those channels. Follow really what we're up to and what we're building and making and growing here from the East Coast.
Okay.
Very cool, buddy.
Thanks for connecting with us.
Thanks for doing this.
We love this episode. And then truly we're working our way out there. There's a few of you that we really love out there that we want to be able to come see for real. So
it'd be cool. Happy to have you anytime. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Okay.
Very cool.
Thanks so much.
All right. Have a good day, guys. Good Friday.
Thanks, my friend. Enjoy the afternoon. Go deliver bars.
Yeah.
I will do. All right. See
Okay.
ya.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Very
Pretty cool.
Very
I don't know how these people do it. I mean, it's I've been in sort of like, probably like you, I've been in sort of retail CPG, learning practically the whole time I've been on the planet. Right. So, you can find the logic going from public policy to making bars. Like, I'm sorry, that's not a linear line.
No, it's just, it's amazing is all it is, right? Yeah, really. And then to be so humble about it, right? He's just, I do this thing. You're like, this. I'm
totally with you on that. I mean, really, cool. Very cool.
Good.
Very cool.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody.